rigorous academics have a place for highly competitive athletics.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and fans are Find the Balance Friday episodes prioritize exclusive interviews with academic and athletic leaders exploring the intersection of education, sport, and life after competition. And on today's episode, our guest has spent more than 3 decades in college athletics as a player and as an administrator. She now serves as the executive director of the North Coast Athletic Conference. It is a pleasure to introduce our friend Kari Alexander Luhovsky. Kari, which is what I usually call you. How are you today?
I am great. How are you?
I am awesome. It is awesome to have you here. It is awesome to have our Find the Balance Fridays resume. We have a lot of great episodes that we are taping, and to have you as an executive director and a conference commissioner to talk about the wackiness as we get started for football season, that just makes my day. So fans, in segment 1, we're going to talk about mission alignment, governance, and just kind of the overall scope of where everything is. And in segment 2, we'll talk about advocacy, sustainability. And in segment 3, we'll talk about the shared vision and mission of the CKA Save project, as well as the work going on in Division III athletics. So Kari, let's jump into it. The NCAC has a long history of promoting academic excellence and growth. As the landscape of college sports shifts, what is the conference strategy to ensure that the academic mission remains at the forefront?
Well, it is. I mean, that's the thing that we've always done. Our kind of internal motto, I don't know, maybe motto's not the right word, but, rigorous academics have a place for highly competitive athletics. It's very much rooted in that old liberal arts model, healthy mind, healthy body. And you can and should want to do both things well if that's your goal. I mean, ultimately, I know we had talked previously. The goal of the NCAC is to graduate good, successful young men and women, launch them into their world. Whether that's for further education, whether that's joining the workforce, but just being good citizens of the world and knowing and having the skills to adapt and ride out what is going on in our world, right? It's adaptability, the ability to think, the ability to write, the ability to communicate. Those are going to serve our students really well as they move into whatever it is they would like to do.
Yeah, and as a follow-up to that, something we talked about briefly, I coached at Hood College in Frederick, Maryland, a Division III school for over 8 years. And one of the things that I saw as a coach, which is one of the reasons why I even founded the CKA Save project, was I often saw you first as an athlete. That's what drew our attention to you. But then when we look at the transcript, they couldn't meet the requirements of the school at Hood, and many other Division III coaches were saying that. As we kind of grow in this piece, what are you seeing in terms of that academic mission of the student athletes? Has it changed any? What are you seeing?
No, I think we're pretty lucky. I think what's happening is that they still want that. They're still graduating. But what is happening more, especially as younger parents, younger coaches, younger administrators, everyone coming in from this atmosphere outside, right? They hear all the noise of what's happening in Division I and the creep, and we have to do more, and we have to, develop our players just to be players. No, that's not what we do, right? And so, this past year and this coming year, we've done a lot of things. We have our faculty from the colleges meet with our coaches and talk about, you're both educators, you have different classrooms, but your methods are often the same. And so how can we share? And it's really energized our faculty. It's energized our coaches because it just helps give this consistent message that, hey, we're here to give you an education. It's got all of these facets to it, and that's what our schools are about. All the opportunities, you get to try on so many personalities and so many things to find out who you are and start creating who you are. Um, that I think for the most part for us, and a lot of conferences and colleges that, people I talk to, that education piece is really still the most important part. We are here trying to launch these young men and women into their lives.
I love it. In terms of governance, with the evolving regulatory environment in college athletics, how is the NCAC preparing its member institutions to navigate new governance challenges while protecting the student athlete experience?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. The protecting the student athlete experience, because we want to keep giving the same experience that we have been, right? We want them to be able to do all the things that they want to do. If they want to just be an athlete and a student, great. But if you want to be in theater and you want to go abroad and you want to do all those things, we want them to have that experience. And we want to make sure they're getting everything it is that they dream about when they come set foot on one of our campuses. But we're also paying attention to what's happening around us, what's happening in Division I, what's happening in Division II. The majority of the NCAC is set up for a primarily 4-year undergraduate experience, right? Our academic course work is built for four years. We have some schools with some graduate programs, not very many, but we have that within the conference. And so paying attention to what's happening with our colleagues in Division I with the age-based model, what that looks like for our kids who might transfer out, once they graduate and they want to, that's not a transfer, but when they want to attend a Division I school for graduate work, and they might have some eligibility left, do they? So we're making sure we're setting our compliance up and everybody knows what's happening. Which is a really minute by minute almost thing sometimes as the past few months. Division II is jumping into that space. And so we're really trying to help Division III have that conversation of what's best for our students, what's best for the division. We don't have to go to the age-based model. If a student wants it, there are other places for them to go do that. And so if you're really looking for this kind of education first model, that's what we're trying to say the NCAC is. And I think that's what a lot of Division III is saying.
Yeah, and as we wrap up this segment, I just would like if you could kind of give a little primer to the high school student athletes and parents. Again, I enjoyed the Division III experience, but what I don't think a lot of people understand, and maybe you can help kind of clean that up, is you need to gain admittance into the university as a student because there is no athletic-based scholarships for them. It's academic-based, and athletics is an enhancement of that. If you could say just a few words as we wrap up segment 1, that would be great.
Right. The classroom is the most important thing, regardless of what level you're going to, because at Division I and Division II, there are academic requirements and there are classes you have to take. Everything is kind of laid out so that you can be eligible for coming to an NCAA school, rather if it's Division I, Division II, Division III. And so really, yes, it's very important how fast you run, what you can lift, how high you can jump, whatever the sport is that you are participating in. But you need to get into the school in the first place. And every school out there has a threshold for what grade point average, what test score, whatever it is that they will admit. And so as you are looking at high school, you're in your high school, just remember that your future depends on pretty much what happens in the classroom for all 4 of your high school years. And as you start making your way through high school, start looking at schools that you're interested in, talk to your guidance counselors, talk to the people at your school who can help. Start looking at colleges and you can see information on like where the thresholds are. And and what the school has and what you're interested in. Knowing all of those things is going to help you have a much better college experience.
All right. And fans, as we transition in segment 2, we're going to talk a little bit about advocacy and sustainability. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAVE project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAVE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. Find the Balance Friday interview with Kari Alexander Luhufsky. And in segment 2, we're going to talk about advocacy and we're going to talk about sustainability. So, Karen, the CKA SAVE project is deeply invested in student athlete advocacy. Where do you see the most significant opportunities for the conference to lead the national conversation on athlete welfare?
For the conference, really getting involved, obviously on the national level, doing what we can, first of all, internally, right? Working with our coaches, having good policy, having good practices so that we're actually doing what we say we do, and what we say we want to, and making sure that campus and everybody's behind the goal and the mission that we have. So a lot of that work can be internal, but when you start looking outward, it's definitely working with other conferences, the region. We all get together as Division III commissioners and we talk about how we do things, trying to make sure even though we might do them slightly differently, we're ending up in the same places. The Division III Commissioners Association, leveraging that to work with leaders of athletic directors, the NCAA, outside groups, trying to make sure, again, everything is how do we provide this good experience within the academic environment. And then at the national level, at the NCAA, we write proposals, we write things to try to change the bylaws, we debate, we make sure that we are engaged in all of those conversations that we need to be. And then starting to look, a little bit in this environment, helping the D3CA and maybe our conference staff, and as we're being requested to kind of have conversation at the congressional level, make sure that we're putting our voice in where it's important, and where we think it might have an impact, and always just kind of educating about what Division III is, why we're different. We don't want to talk. This isn't a slag against our Division I colleagues or Division II, but we are Division III, and so we're going to talk about what we think we're good at, why we think we're a great choice, the strengths, that educational focus. This is about your future. Yes, we want you to win. The NCAC had a remarkable season this past year. We won 3 national championships. We had a doubles tennis team win individual championships. We had an individual track athlete win a championship. And so, teams moving further into the championships, more teams being selected. So, athletic success is important to us, but it's also, hey, we have all these postgraduate scholars. We have all of these, academic awards, academic All-Americans, all of those things. Like, those are equally important and probably maybe more important. It's just easier as an athletic conference to say, look, we won something. But we also talk about the kids we graduate, all of their academic success, the things they're doing outside of the classroom. And so just carrying that into every conversation, especially when you talk about Congress, unless they participated or went to a Division III school, most people, not just in Congress, but most people, what takes all the oxygen in the room is our Division I colleagues. Mm-hmm. And so really explaining why we're different, and why we provide kind of that true collegiate athlete, that nostalgic collegiate athlete experience.
And I'm glad you said that. And again, I spent 8 years as a Division III coach but most of my friends were Division I coaches. And I can't think of a time in the 8 years that I coached Division III, or in my time as a high school coach, or now as an advisor, that I put upon or looked down upon. A lot of those guys and gals in D1 came from the D3 experience. So I'm glad you mentioned that piece. And on our front, in terms of advocacy, we're conducting 3 active research studies at CKA, where we're doing an extension of our student athlete motivation survey from my previous doctoral work, because as an organization, we did this type of research prior to NIL, transfer portal, and all of these changes that took place. We are looking at student athletes' thoughts on collective bargaining, and we are asking coaches on all levels what it's like to coach now, so we can help guide the conversation and provide that active data. So again, I appreciate the work you guys are doing on the conference level. In terms of sustainability, looking at the long-term health of the NCAC, what metrics do you guys use as a conference to define success beyond win-loss column?
We definitely look at some of those other things, right? Win-loss is great. And we do track that because of course we do. But we do look at the graduation rates. We look at, what our alumni are doing, kind of all the work that the institutions do. Like, these are our success rates. You have a job after X years out, those kind of metrics. And really, the experience that they're having. So athletics is at Division III it is highly competitive, but it is also, the students are treated no differently than as if they were in theater or music or any kind of performance-based co-curricular activity. And so just, having them go through and hey, are we getting students to come in? Are we getting students who want this experience at our schools? So that's really, what are our rosters look like? Yeah, are we healthy? Are we retaining the kids? Are they staying for their, experience? If they decide they don't want to do sports anymore because maybe they're a really difficult academic program, are they staying at our schools? Are they having that great experience?
All right.
So those are things we look at.
I love it. And fans, as we transition in segment 3, this is the start of college football season. The thing that brought us together was the Open Doors Bowl series. So we're going to have that conversation with our special guest on our Find the Balance Friday episode. We'll be right back on the iCoaches podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy, designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential, both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast, special Find the Balance Friday interview. And in segment 3, we're going to talk about the vision of the Open Doors Bowl, and looking forward to the future. Kari, when the partnership between the CKSA project and the Open Doors Bowl series was first established, we emphasized moving the conversation beyond the scholarship. Everybody's searching for beyond scholarship, but we really wanted to really hone in on the good things of being both a student and an athlete. From your perspective as the executive director of the NCAC and a member of the organizing committee, how has this collaboration fulfilled the vision of developing the whole student athlete across your four partnering conferences, the HCAC, the NCAC, the OAC, and the PAC?
Well, this is the one specific thing that allowed us to focus on what is happening outside the football field. And so this looks at, what honoring those students who are putting in the time as overall citizens. They're doing well in the classroom. They're doing community service. They're involved in their campus communities in so many different ways. And they are successful on the football field. They're part of this team. They've made the cut to come to the bowl. And it really this is the one way we can say, hey, look, and highlight that our football players are not just football players. These are students. These are student athletes. They're scholar athletes, and they are involved in so many different things in their campus communities. And this just highlights one student from each team, right? We all know that we have so many of our students that could win this award. And so it's really special to be able to kind of publicly say, hey, look, this is to highlight this with these four young men. So it has been great. It has been able to bring in that concept of the liberal arts and the way that we all operate as Division III conferences and what we value, and highlight it in the middle of celebrating a football game.
Awesome. And with the Open Doors Bowl series continuing to grow and to elevate Division III football, what is your shared vision for the future continuation and expansion, hopefully, of the Balanced Student Athlete Award and empowering the next generation of leaders?
Well, we're going into year 3 of the bowl series. We want to make sure that continues. We try to make it a little bit better every year, to provide a great experience. Year 1, it was, and this may still happen, is, we're at the Tom Benson Hall of Fame stadium. And, I was walking out behind some students, and I was carrying the goalpost pad so no one could see who I was. And they were just excited to be in that stadium. And the team had won. And they were talking hey, even if we lost, it would have been, it was so cool to play here, right? I got to tell my friends that I finished my career at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is great, right? It everything about it, we want to make sure that the kids have a great experience. I say that word a lot, but it really is important, that it's not just a football game. And it's a way for us to provide something to our football student athletes that we don't, right? So none of us hold, in Division III, there aren't very many, if any, maybe 1 or 2 championship games for football, right? They play a regular season, then the NCAA playoffs start. And so this, for a team that doesn't make the NCAA, is to have kind of that culminating experience like some of our other sports do with tournaments. So we love that for that. But having this partnership, we definitely want to make sure that we continue to partner with the CK Save Balanced Student Athlete Award. It makes the dinner the night before. I think it's something that the students will look forward to. Last year was the first time, and the students were really excited about it. So expanding that and continuing that relationship, I think, is really important. And I know that even one of your programs had one of our students who had come to work. We give students other experiences so that they learn about also what goes into hosting an event. So there are non student athletes there working and helping. And so that expanded, we had another opportunity for one of our students to work with you. And so any way we can continue to provide those opportunities and tie it back to some kind of educational or professional development, that's our goal.
And I want our audience to know, one, the entire committee, the folks working both bowl games were so welcoming. The student athletes got a chance to go and visit throughout the Football Hall of Fame, which is an experience in itself. Their families got to spend time, and they had one more opportunity, and this was my takeaway, to be with their brothers and their team for an experience. And when you saw the gameplay, they're playing football, folks. They're out there competing, and one of the games went down to like the final play, and it was as good as any college football playoff experience you could have. So kudos to that, because the D3 experience is different. It is unique. And for you and your committee to commit to assisting, we're just happy to be a part. As we close, for our friends and family of the CKA Safe Project and the Odd Coaches podcast, as we do our global expansion with our digital media initiative, anything you'd like to say about our working relationship before we close?
This has been one of the greatest, the easiest relationship from our very first phone call. Just the joy that you bring to the work you do, and the genuine care that you have for students and young people is just, it's contagious. And it has been it's been such a wonderful addition to our bowl series, and hopefully who knows what in the future, but it has been an honor to partnership with you and see your work and how it's growing.
Well, we appreciate that. So, on behalf of our guests, I'd like to say thank you for listening and/or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Safe Project on social media at CKA Safe Project. For more information about the CKA Safe Project, visit them on the web at www.ckasafeproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.